aṣóńṣó abẹ aṣóńṣó abẹ ọ̀dàrà olórí agbẹ́rùlé o.
aṣóńṣó abẹ
ọ̀dàrà olórí agbẹ́rùlé o.
aṣóńṣó abẹ
láàlú olórí agbẹ́rùlé o.
aṣóńṣó abẹ
bàbá mi olórí agbẹ́rùlé o.
aṣóńṣó abẹ
láàlú tàrẹ wá o.
tàrẹ ṣàṣà tàrẹ wá bá mi.
láàlú tàrẹ wá o.
tàrẹ ṣàṣà tàrẹ wá bá mi.
láàlú tàrẹ wá o.
tàrẹ ṣàṣà tàrẹ wá bá mi.
ọkọ̀ lú tàrẹ wá o.
tàrẹ ṣàṣà tàrẹ wá bá mi.
ta ló dàpọ̀ nílùú.
Èṣù ọ̀dàrà ló dàpọ̀ nílùú rẹ̀mẹ̀tẹ̀.
ta ló dàpọ̀ nílùú.
Èṣù ọ̀dàrà ló dàpọ̀ nílùú rẹ̀mẹ̀tẹ̀.
tá ń dàpọ̀ nílùú.
Èṣù ọ̀dàrà ló dàpọ̀ nílùú rẹ̀mẹ̀tẹ̀.
ẹni ṣẹbọ lóore.
Èṣù
bí ẹni ṣèṣù lóore.
Èṣù
bí ẹni ṣẹbọ lóore.
Èṣù
ẹni ṣèṣù lóore.
Èṣù
yóò gbé o èṣù ni ó gbé ya mi.
yóò gbé o Èṣù ni ó gbé yà mí.
yóò gbé o èṣù ni ó gbé ya mi.
yóò gbé o Èṣù ni ó gbé yà mí.
yóò pa o èṣù ni ó pọ̀tá mi.
yóò pa o Èṣù ni ó pọ̀tá mi.
yóò pa o èṣù ni ó pọ̀tá mi.
yóò pa o Èṣù ni ó pọ̀tá mi yányán.
alanga jíga alanga jíga èṣù ó gbé wa o elégbèjàdó.
Alanga jíga
èṣù ó gbé wa o elégbèjàdó.
alanga jíga
a ò rí gún a ò gbọ́dọ̀ ṣẹbọ.
alanga jíga
a ò rákàlà a ò gbọ́dọ̀ ṣòro.
alanga jíga
èṣù ó gbé wa o elégbèjàdó.
alanga jíga.
Aboraboy, this is Oluo Fakoladev Idinkai Temple. We welcome you at Kabul. We thank you for joining us for our Esu Is Not Satan commemoration. So every year, around the time of December 24th, here in the United States, Nigeria, Chile, Venezuela, all around the world, we are celebrating a process called Esu Is Not Satan. And I want to talk a little bit about this campaign and this process before we get into the discussion of who Esu is. But I want to thank you all for joining us once again. When we think about this concept of Esu Is Not Satan, one level, the first level is on that of Google. And years ago, and maybe even now, when individuals are translating Eshu into English from Yoruba, it is translated as Satan. In many different writings, many different works of Yoruba scholars, the name of the deity, the Irumole, known as Eshu, whenever that name is mentioned in a text for many years, it had been identified in English as Satan. And so the dilemma here is multiple. So we have so many issues in terms of that one problem. What are some of the dilemmas when Google Translate, when other mechanisms of America and Eurocentric values and Judeo-Christian values translate Eshu into Satan? Well, what that does is it demonizes our traditions. It minimalizes our traditions within the eyes of the world, not to us, but in the eyes of the world. So when we say Eshu is not Satan, what we're saying in many respects is not only is Eshu not Satan, but we're also saying that our traditions, our indigenous African diaspora traditions are not satanic. They're not to be demonized. They're not to be marginalized. They're not to be colonized. And when we look at our traditions, and this is also for us as well, when we begin to look at our African traditions, what we need to do is we cannot look at them from the eyes of our colonizer. We cannot look at Ifa through European eyes. We can't use the lens of the colonizer to understand Ifa. Ifa stands on its own. Eshu stands on its own, and Eshu is not Satan. When we say that, it is not only a battle cry, it is a cry for what I would say is decolonizing our tradition, which is very, very, very important to do. So it's not just the idea of defining and showing the world who Eshu is. It is also for us to take it completely out of the context of any Judeo-Christian religion, any English religion, any Eurocentric thought process, any white supremacist ideal, and look at our traditions from the lens of us. And that is an African-centered view. So, with that being said, let's talk about Eshu. Now, who is Eshu? Eshu or Dara, Eshu or Lailu. When we think of this phenomenal and incredible Irumole known as Eshu, what we have to understand is Eshu is a divinity in Irumole that was bestowed the same Ashe that created the cosmos by Akamara. And in that, every road is Eshu. Every decision, Eshu is in the process of. And when we offer our Ebo, when we make our sacrifice, the main divinity, I would say 99%, 98% of the time that receives that Ebo when we offer Ebo is Eshu. And why is that? Well, Eshu is, I want to take Eshu out of the context of being viewed as a quote unquote trickster and look at Eshu within the context of being a divine linguist, the individual who translates the language of the language of humanity, into that language of God and vice versa. The individual who assists us in understanding what God speak is, what God is saying, right? So Eshu is so vast and important when we look at Eshu in that way. There's truly absolutely no connection and also no equivalent in any of these other traditions that we look at. Eshu is the messenger and also the justice maker and the policeman of our divine tradition of Ifa. So let us look at the Odu Ifa, Oshe Aruela, Oshe Tura. And this Odu Ifa says, the broken calabash used to carry Ebo, besides the Eshu shrine, was the one who cast Ifa for the slender Oshe when carrying Ebo on earth to Orun. Those in need of wealth, let them send Ifa on an errand. Oshe is carrying Ebo to heaven. If you have any message to send, those in need of spouse, come and send Ifa on an errand. Oshe is carrying Ebo to heaven. If you have any message to send, those in need of children, Let them come and send Ifa on an errand. Oshe is carrying a bow to heaven. If you have any message to send, those in need of all ire of life, let them come and send Ifa on a mission. Oshe is carrying a bow to heaven if you have any message to send. When we look at that verse, Ifa is speaking very clearly in identifying not only at Oshe Tura as a significant Odu in the incarnation of Eshu, but also Oshe Tura is a significant Odu in describing the character of Eshu. Eshu is the individual who we placate in order to send a message, to send Ifa on an errand from heaven to earth and from earth to heaven. That is Eshu's job. The individual who assists in carrying abos to Orun and carrying blessings from Orun to Aye. And it is so very important when we are practicing, when we are devotees, to offer abo. When we look at this, Eshu is also within the determining factor of assisting the individual who is the underdog. When we look at this, let's look at the Odu Ogbeka. Ogbeka, Ogbeko, Egbekokolo, Ogbe Owo. They were the ones who cast Ifa for Lili, who is the offspring of the wealthy man by the hillside. When he and the dog were enemies, he was advised to offer Ebo. He complied. The dog, planning to kill the hedgehog, will have his mouth full of blood. Here comes the hedgehog, the offspring of the wealthy man by the hillside. So in this Ifa, it talks about Lili, which is the hedgehog. And Lili, the hedgehog, was basically going about his regular business and found himself in the midst of a fight. And the fight was with the dog. The dog hated Lili and wanted to kill Lili and consume him. And what occurred is that throughout this process, Lili, the tiny hedgehog, was being tormented. Anytime Lili came out, the dog jumped out and was ready to chase him, kill him, and eat him. And Lili got tired of hiding, ducking, and dodging, and being afraid. And he went for Ifa consultation. He went for Ifa consultation, and as he did this, the Babalao said that he would be very successful. All he needed to do was offer a bow and exhibit no fear. Lili offered the abo, but the abo was very interesting. The abo here was needles, many, many, many needles, small needles. So he offered this abo, and as he offered that abo, the Babalao told him, "Have no fear. You've offered your abo. Now walk in the confidence of what you have done." So Lili found it very difficult to do this. Yet, when he fell asleep, Eshu Odara came and put the needles that he had offered as a bow, had implanted them and affixed them to the hairs all over his body. So when the dog saw Lili, Lili got very afraid and he curled up in a ball. And when he curled up in a ball, all of the needles, the nails, the needles and spines and quills shot up. And the dog came to bite the hedgehog. And he bit and he was bleeding. And he bit and he was punctured even more by the needles of the hedgehog. And he kept biting and he kept biting. And finally, the dog had a mouthful of blood. And that then led to the death of the dog. So when we think about this, what are the significant points of this story? Of course, offer ebo. Offering ebo will assist us in being supported by the divinities. And when Lily offered ebo, when Lily did that, he got the support of Almighty God. He got the support of the Irumole. And what did they do? They sent help. Help in the form of Eshu. And what did Eshu do when Eshu received the ebo of Lili? Eshu took that ebo and used it to the advantage of Lili. He used that ebo to support Lili in a major way. So when Lili was afraid, Eshu had already been in the activity, been in the business. Why? Because Lili had offered ebo. Lili had made the sacrifice. And this sacrifice is not just the offering of the needles or the offering of the higo, but it's also the sacrifice of character, the sacrifice of listening and following through, following the directions. That's what Lili did. And Eshu came to his support. So, what does that mean? Eshu cannot be Satan because Eshu is doing the will of God. Eshu is doing the will of Olodumare. Eshu is supporting anybody who has offered ebo, anybody who is in alignment with destiny. Eshu is in the flow of that situation. Their Eshu is in the flow of their life and supporting them and actualizing their destiny. So, in so many words, Eshu is beyond great. Eshu is every road. When I went to it, Ijelu Ekiti in Nigeria, this place where Eshu had descended from heaven and landed on earth. When we go to this place, they were digging in the ground when we were there, and everywhere they would dig, they had Yangi stone. Yangi was everywhere, and then when we began to walk around, everywhere we went in Ado Ekiti, there we made a parade and a procession, and then I looked down at the ground and I noticed that the ground on all of these places was Yangi stone. So the literal ground was made of the substance that Eshu is. Anyone knows who practices Isheshe that the essence of Eshu, the calling card of Eshu, is Yangi stone, that laterite stone. That is Eshu. And interestingly enough, everywhere in this city, the ground was made of Yangi. And it wasn't like they decided, oh, let's make the ground out of Yangi. It was just that way. So Eshu is very much in the balance of every decision we make. Eshu has a hand in every choice we make, every place we place our foot, every thought we think. Eshu is in the balance. Hence the reason why we touch the back of our head, the place of the medulla oblongata, in order to propitiate Eshu. We touch the Eshu Nipaku. So, Eshu is very, very, very important. Very important Irumule. So I ask everyone, please, please If you are in Isheshe, if you're not in Isheshe, please investigate and look up who Eshu is. Eshu Odara, Eshu Olalu, Eshu Alaroye, Eshu Alaketu. Look up who is Eshu. And I want you to even begin to propitiate Eshu on your own. So we have just fed Eshu. We fed Eshu like literally just now, right before we did this work, this video. I fed Eshu with Higo, 2 roosters, palm oil, gin. Eshu is laced. We're about to cook it and have a nice little feast and share it with Eshu. So with that, those of you who are interested in what we're talking about, please like and share, and we'll see you very soon. Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Agboato. And please, 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 please remember that Eshu is indeed not Satan.
aṣọ ń